Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. Please enjoy this video on the Political Voices Network.
And thank you for coming on a school night.
Happy to be here. I already finished my homework.
I mean, Glenn, have you ever heard such nonsense? So, of course, that was rejected immediately. Her saying, it's a school night. Really? You can't afford childcare? She was just at Kim Kardashian's birthday out here in Beverly Hills a couple of days ago. I mean, these people really do think they're above the law, don't they?
They do, and it's worked for them for decades. And, you know, it's part of the same kind of nonsense as Eric Trump saying, I just poured the concrete.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, and I guess Don Jr. was involved in road construction?
Yes.
I know he was doing something with white lines, but I don't think it was painting out the roads.
You know what? He's on a roll since Sexy Liberal. He can't stop. You can't stop, Glenn.
Thank you, and good night.
Okay, so now back to the legal. Okay, so break down for us what is happening here, because this is Maggie Haberman this morning, Glenn, saying, you know, basically they were running the company, especially Eric, and suggested their excuses will not have an effect on a case that's already largely decided. We have to keep saying that, don't we? They have already been ruled a fraud and lost their business licenses. Talk to me about why you have the kids testify, because obviously there's a lot of they don't recall. Right?
A lot of I don't recall. I wasn't involved. I wasn't there. So the reason they're going through this exercise now is because Judge Engoron has to decide, one, how much will they be made to pay back of their ill-gotten gains, and two, should they be barred from doing business in New York moving forward? And the answer is, of course, yes, but Judge Engoron needs to develop the evidence that supports his ruling, should he decide to go that way, that they are prohibited from doing business in New York. And when you're Don Jr. and you are the certifying official signing your name to documents saying, yes, these estimates are accurate regarding our assets, and now you don't know if you did it, you can't remember, I don't know anything about accounting, seems to me Don Jr. is building his own record that he should not be doing business in New York.
Yeah. Well, you know, Glenn, you always say it's documents case are, you know, tough to fighting it because they're documents. As I understand it, he testified that he never worked on his father's financial statements, but he's listed, of course, he's been a trustee, and at least one of the documents bore language saying the trustees are responsible for the documents. So, you know, clearly it's a load of crap. I just don't know, is there a chance they pay some legal penalty? Is there, you know, a perjury charge at some point or no?
Yeah, that I think is the real danger zone, because if they're caught lying under oath, even in a civil case, that could form the basis of a criminal charge for perjury. So, you know, and people will say, well, if he just keeps saying, I don't know and I don't remember, that's perjury proof. And it's too long a discussion to have right here, but it's not perjury proof. One example is we've had witnesses that we have caught saying, I'm going to take the stand and I'm just going to tell them I don't remember anything. Yeah. Well, bingo, we have evidence to charge somebody with perjury under those circumstances. So, you know, we'll see what the New York authorities, it would be the district attorney's office, Alvin Bragg's office, who would bring a perjury charge. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah. Because once again, the examination of Eric Trump grew tense, and he grew visibly agitated when pressed about his understanding of his father's financial statements that were used to support real estate transactions. The prosecutor used a series of emails dating back as far as 2010 and phone conversations to argue he was familiar with the statements, contradicting his testimony. Again, it's tough to argue against documents, right? I mean, even if you say, oh, I don't remember that, which I guess Don Jr. said, right, a bunch of times.
Yeah, they're saying they don't recall, but as you say, when their signature is on a document, you know, there's no way around that plausibly, and the only question is, are you going to lie about it or not? And if you lie, you're going to be held accountable. But they keep saying things like, well, we were relying on our accountants. We paid them millions and millions of dollars to produce, you know, these documents for the Trump organization. But, you know, let's break that down and expose just how absurd it is. You know, one of the big ticket lies, frauds they perpetrated was saying that, you know, Daddy's penthouse was 30,000 square feet when it was in fact only a little over 10,000 square feet. So are they trying to convince us that Their accountants went into the apartment with a tape measure and blew it by 20,000 square feet. No, that's not the accountant's role. The accountants take the information presented to them from Trump, from Eric, from Lil Donnie, and then they put the documents together, and then Don Jr. certifies they're accurate. So on the front end and the back end, there is provable fraud. So this whole, it's the accountant's fault, will not sell.
Yeah. And speaking of Little Donnie, as you call him, this is, there was a clip, I don't know where it was, him recapping his testimony yesterday. And he said, did 2 days of testimony, had some fun in the process. I think even the judge found me a little bit amusing. I mean, it's all just a big effing joke to these people, isn't it? This is, a family that has had, is drowning in their own privilege and getting away with this crap for God knows how many years, right?
Yeah, how to have fun with fraud at the expense of the New York taxpayers. That ought to be, their next book.
Yeah, and I love this exchange yesterday. Eric Trump was venturing a long explanation about why he didn't agree with something, and the lawyer, just when he stopped, said, "Are you done?" And so, of course, Eric got all outraged and flustered. Even the judge had to explain the lawyer had not, he meant that seriously. The judge said the lawyer had not meant to interrupt you. They're just not used to being challenged in any way. The judge had to say, he was waiting till you were finished. He wasn't trying to be snarky. It's just, but I just feel like that, and Ivanka saying, "Oh, I can't, it's a school night," and Lara saying, "Oh, Eric missed a school play." It's just, they really think what the justice system revolves around their schedules. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, and Ivanka can't afford childcare, which is really sad.
Yeah. I guess that $2 billion hasn't been freed up yet from Saudi Arabia. Don't know where that is. Okay. Andrew Weissman, AG, talked to us about this yesterday, said this document in the New York trial could be hugely important to Jack Smith and Fani Willis. It would show that Trump knew, at least as of 1/15/21, that he had not won the election and was returning to his private life and business. This came up. I mean, it is interesting, right, how at some point all these trials intersect. That could absolutely be used, couldn't it? I
thought that was an interesting point. I do think, Trump will fall back on, they lied about me losing the election, so if that's the way they're going to play it, I had to get back involved in my business. Look, there is always a BS explanation for what we know the true state of affairs is. Trump lost the election. He knew he lost the election. His own officials and agency heads told him he lost the election. He said in an Oval Office meeting, "I don't care if there was no fraud undermining the election. Just say there was and leave it up to me and my Republican allies in Congress." There is conclusive proof, Steph, that he knew he lost the election.
Yeah, but just one more piece. Okay. There it is, my first drink of the day, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Many of you know my story. I stopped drinking wine for 3 years during COVID, during the lockdown as part of a health reset. Now I drink wine in moderation, but this is an amazing new product. I've always believed in probiotics. And Z-Biotics, check this out. You drink just one of these. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I am using this and I feel great in the morning. I don't have to worry if I have an extra glass of wine, I still feel great in the morning. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. I've always had acid reflux problems. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. All I know is it works. It is Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now.